Hello. In this video, I will explain how to perform periodic maintenance on unmanned aerial vehicles and how often it should be done. Unmanned aerial vehicles are very delicate devices. They contain very complex sensor circuits. In addition, they have moving mechanical parts and securing devices. As a result, it is essential to perform periodic maintenance on unmanned aerial vehicles at certain intervals. Periodic maintenance needs to be done before and after flights. For this, we can particularly want to say that you need to store unmanned aerial vehicles under appropriate conditions, especially regarding technical maintenance, because even though unmanned aerial vehicles are completely closed systems, dust accumulation can occur over time. For any reason, you need to first perform a dust check on the incoming drone systems. So, how is periodic maintenance done on unmanned aerial vehicles? More precisely, what are the pre-flight checks? You can use the same checklist after the flight as well. And during certain periodic maintenance, you can also check the cleanliness and maintenance as well as the sensors, electronic boards, and mechanical parts. We will go through this step by step. Our first item is something we need to check completely before the flight. Are the weather conditions suitable for flight or not? Can we fly in any windy environment? Is our drone suitable for this windy environment? Or rain? Is it raining? Does our drone have any resistance to rain? We need to check this. Our second item is to check if the drone's battery is at a sufficient level for flight before we take off. If we check after the flight, is our drone's battery low enough to store it? We need to check these things. The most important point to pay attention to here is that if you are not using a battery, you must always leave it with a minimum charge. So, each cell should have a value around volt. And the biggest reason for this, if you leave a battery charged, it will swell and deteriorate when not in use. Our third item is to check the physical condition of the battery, both before and after the flight. Is it in good condition? Is there any wear and tear? Is there any swelling at all? Is there any wear and tear? Is there any swelling at all? A visible or tamper-proof device in its outer protective sheath. Is there any issue with looseness, damage, or tearing? Our fourth item is something we need to check regularly. We must definitely inspect the connection elements in the chassis, meaning in the body of the drone, before and after every flight. Are there any looseness, openings, or disconnections in the landing gear's connection elements? Are there any issues with loosening or deterioration? You must definitely check this. Our fifth item is another point that we absolutely need to check before the flight. You must definitely check this. Our fifth item is definitely something we need to check before the flight. If the directions of your propellers are not correct, you will likely flip over, or your propellers might collide and cause you to crash. In the worst case scenario, if you try to push this situation too much, your motors may malfunction. So, your propellers should be configured correctly with CV and CCV, meaning clockwise and counterclockwise. You need to wear and mount it. Another item is to check the physical condition of our motors. You definitely need to check this during periodic maintenance before and after the flight. Are there any visible defects on the exterior of our engines? When we turn it by hand, do we experience any strain? Or do we hear any strange noises when our motors are spinning the propeller? These are the things that need to be checked. Or do we hear any strange noises when our motors are spinning the propeller? These are the things that need to be checked. Our next item is landing. Is our landing gear making balanced contact with the ground? There might be an unseen malfunction. If the drone isn't balanced when placed on the ground, check your landing gear. Do this before, after flights, and during maintenance. Also check for exposed wires during maintenance. You definitely need to do this before and after the flight, as well as during periodic maintenance. In the next item, while checking the drone, you also need to look for any exposed wires during our periodic maintenance. What we mean by exposed wires here is that the wire may have come loose. It may have come loose, or it could be due to reasons we don't know, or reasons we can't detect. The outer protective casing of the cable may be torn, causing the copper part to come into contact with the drone's body. We need to check for exposed wires and any cable points that could cause a short circuit. Is there a problem when cables contact each other? So, in short, is there a problem when the cables come into contact with each other? Old age, tearing, burning, breaking, crucial. In our macarons, there is a possibility of any issues like old age, tearing, burning, or breaking. These issues are important. If there is any contact in the cables of our drone, electronic components may burn out. Even with protective circuits, they can be insufficient at high currents. Therefore, during maintenance, we check these points before and after flights. Even though they have their own protective circuits, there is a point where these protective circuit elements may also be insufficient since we are operating at high currents. That's why during our periodic maintenance, we always carefully check these last 3 points I just mentioned before and after flights. before we get to our last item, let's add one more point. That's why, during our periodic maintenance, we always carefully check the last 3 points we've mentioned before and after flights. Before we get to our last item, let's add one more point. Here, if we want to fly our drone manually or autonomously before the flight, we need to get some data from our drone. Especially during autonomous flight, a drone system must connect to at least 4 satellites for GPS. This allows the drone to determine its own position, and in order for it to move according to the commands we give, it needs to receive data from satellites in the sky. Based on the data it receives, it can determine the coordinates of the points it will go to, meaning the coordinates of the destination you are heading to. But let's consider that it's not receiving enough data from the satellite, and we want it to go from point A to point B, rising to an altitude of 10 meters over a distance of 7 meters. This time, since it doesn't know point B, it will start to move towards the incorrect data it receives. Since it doesn't know its own location data, it may encounter unwanted results while heading towards this point. That's why we must connect to the correct number of satellites before the flight. We need to determine if it's not connected. Our last item is again a point that is necessary before the flight. Are there any physical factors in the areas where our drone will take off or land that could affect it? This physical factor could be a stone, it could be water, or it could be something man-made, like any kind of container or product. We need to pay a lot of attention to these because when our drone lands, there might be a distance, an obstacle, or something like obstacle protection underneath it. We might not have a situation. We not have a sensor. For this reason, checking the areas where we will take off or land is also very important for the maintenance of drone systems. In addition to the checks you won't do before or after the flight, you must check your drones at least once a month. You need to protect and clean your motors and the internal body of your drones from dust. While doing this, you can also do this with some dust protective wet wipes, but you need to make sure that these wipes are definitely slightly damp cloths. At the same time, you can achieve this with some accessories. You need to choose the protective and cleaning equipment that is suitable, especially for electronic components. We've reached the end of this video. In this video series, we talked about the general construction of drone systems, including this video and the ones before it. In the upcoming stages, by utilizing these videos and continuing to improve yourself, you can understand drone technologies much better. We explained the maintenance and repairs to you. In the upcoming stages, by utilizing these videos and continuing to improve yourself, you can understand drone technologies much better. And at your next levels, you can work on the repair of drone systems and reach much different points.